Conker's Bad Fur Day. I've let's played this, I don't really need to say much. Rare, make a goddamn sequel. Seriously. Definitely one of my favourites. Pokemon Snap, the only Pokemon game I can honestly say I like, to be honest. I don't know, I just remember, I only really watched the anime when I was a kid, you know. I was never into the games or anything, but when this came out, you know, it was all about watching Pokemon, and I was like, oh, I know that Pokemon, and I know that Pokemon, and yeah, that's kind of what appealed to me the most, you know. So, yeah, I do kind of like Pokemon Snap quite a bit. Right, who's talking to me? Okay, it's someone I can ignore. Kirby 64 Crystal Shards, superb. Can't wait for Kirby's Epic Yarn. This goes for quite a pretty penny on eBay, sadly. Was worth every penny though. Really, really good 2.5D platformer. F-Zero X. I've already talked about the F-Zero games. I've got a lot, but I don't play them, even though I know they are really good racing games. Though I gotta say, I did pop this in, and it looks ugly. You know, I mean, from what I've played of F-Zero GX and F-Zero on the Super Nintendo, even the Super Nintendo, really good use of the Mode 7, and it's really rewarding to look at, appealing to the eye, you know. This just looks like a polygonal mess sort of thing. Okay, I'm probably pissing off a lot of people by saying that, but I literally played this for like 60 seconds, okay? So don't take my word for it. I'm just saying. Right. Here's a couple of my favourites. Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie. The Banjo-Kazooie, this game didn't really surprise me. I knew it was one of the most nostalgic, rememberable N64 games, which sadly I didn't play when I was a kid, you know? So I was really excited on playing it when I finally got my hands on it. And I don't know if I played it at the wrong time, but it was I thought it to be pretty average, you know? It didn't really capture me. I played it to the end, obviously, but like I said, I probably played it at the wrong time, actually, because when I got my hands on this, despite being a bit sort of meh about the first one, you know, I was willing to pay £30 or so because this was pretty rare, and god damn it, it was worth every penny. I spent hours on this game. It's just a really, really good sequel, and it made me look back on the first one with a lot more fondness to it, you know. And I'm seriously not calling the first one a bad game, but this is so much better. It really is. I adore it. You just get lost for hours and hours in this game, you know, just trying to collect everything. It's got the biggest emphasis on collecting I've ever seen. Well, actually, there's a game in this pile that sort of puts that statement to shame, but yeah. Anyway, Banjo-Tooie, this is definitely one of my favourite N64 games. I absolutely adore it. Right, and here's that game I was talking about. Donkey Kong 64. Like Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, I've given this game multiple chances, you know, to try and get into it. But, I don't know. I'm not usually a big ragger on collecting in 3D platformers, but in this game there's way too much collecting, I'm sorry. And I think I saw like a video, some people used to think it's a bit complicated, you know, on what you've got to collect and what it does and all that stuff. And I'd have to agree. It's you kind of lose your purpose when you're playing it. You don't really know what you're doing is going to help you later on. Kind of makes me sad to say this because I know that Tezchi loves this game. This was a game of his childhood, and I'm pretty sure it is for a lot of people. And yeah, this is the game that came with the N64 expansion pack. The only games that required it was Perfect Dark, Majora's Mask, and Donkey Kong 64. 3 games I can't really say are my favourites. Probably my favourite out of those 3 was Perfect Dark. And hold on, there was a StarCraft game that needed it as well, but I think those 4 games were the only ones that required it. But suffice it to say, if I bought it back in the day, you know, I wouldn't say it was really worth it, because the games it offered, you know, wasn't really that great for me, you know. But whatever. I'm ragging on these games too much. I seriously don't like doing that, by the way. But anyway. 1080 Snowboarding. I kind of got this because it is quite a favourite in the N64 library. And I played a couple of the, you know, tracks. And it's a good snowboarding game. The thing about me is I played a snowboarding game on the Saturn. When I do that video I'll talk about it. And whenever I play another snowboarding game of sort of that era, I just think, why aren't I playing that game I loved so much as a kid? So, but again, a lot of people do like this, and yeah. 1080 snowboarding. Right. Wave Race 64. This was another favourite in the library. I think it was a launch title, wasn't it? Probably one of the biggest jaw-dropping things about this game was the graphics, you know, the water effects. Obviously they don't look too hot today, but back then it was like, holy shit, you know? And even I can appreciate that, you know? And it is a really good racing game, you know? I played this for quite a bit, and I had fun. Yeah, good game. Right. Mario Kart 64, game of my childhood. I've already talked about Mario 64 quite a bit. And yeah, I buy them and I think they're overrated, yeah. This is probably my favourite. Either this or Super Mario Kart is my favourite. It's purely for nostalgic purposes though, you know. Right. Here's a very underrated N64 platformer. Rocket Robot on Wheels. I picked this up because of Corona 180. He was doing a blind Let's Play at the time, which he has since cancelled. But yeah, I wanted to pick it up myself because I thought it looked really good. And it really is. It was the first game by Sucker Punch, by the way. They made this, then they went over with Sony to make Sly Cooper and Infamous. But this was their first game. And it was a great sign of things to come. There's nothing really in here that's reminiscent of Sly Cooper and Infamous. It's just a 3D platformer, really. But a very good 3D platformer. So yeah, if you've got an N64, definitely check this out, because it is very underrated. Right. Rayman 2, The Great Escape. I've got this on the Dreamcast and the PlayStation 2. Why do I have an N64? I don't know. I love this game so much. We'll talk about it another day. I've Let's Played it as well, so yeah. Jet Force Gemini. What to say about this one? I didn't beat it. I really, really was enjoying it, but I didn't beat it. The reason I didn't beat it was because there's a part in the game where it makes you go on sort of a scavenger hunt. You got to find certain items to progress to the next part of the game, and I really couldn't even be bothered looking up a walkthrough. You know, I wasn't gonna go around all the worlds looking blindly for something, you know. And I don't know, I just wasn't compelled to go and even use a walkthrough, like I said, you know. But it is a very good shooting game, you know. I really do genuinely recommend this. It was made by Rare, and yeah, I don't really have anything negative to say about other than the fact that there's a scavenger hunt near the end, but that's what walkthroughs are for. And if you enjoy it, if you play it to that point, then you're probably gonna resort to a walkthrough. Why I didn't, I have no idea, but yeah, Jet Force Gemini, it's a very good game. Right. Last game we have here, you can all probably guess actually. Super Mario 64, yeah. The crowning jewel of the N64, hasn't aged one bit. Yeah, I don't really have to say much about it. You probably all play it, considering how many times they've re-released it as well. Yeah, Super Mario 64. Right. Now, I want to take some time to talk about some N64 games I have on Virtual Console for some, just to point them out really. I've got Paper Mario. I adore the Paper Mario games, you know. And I will own the cartridge at some point, I just haven't gotten round to it, but mark my words, I will. And the other one I have is Sin and Punishment, the first one. I adore the second one, and that game is really good too, but it wasn't released over here, so I don't really have much chance in acquiring it. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about those last two games that I have, and yeah. That's that, guys. See you after. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.